Tuesdays.
Right. It's now 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for September 20th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Sir Chad Cleckler.
Here.
Daniel Turner.
Here.
David Wright. Cassie Hollinshead. Tony Harris.
Here.
Amanda Kelly. Here. And Randy Humphrey.
Here.
We have 4.
Okay. Y'all will please stand and join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time that we can gather here. Be with us now as we enter into this meeting. Guide us and direct us as we conduct business for the city of White House. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, that takes us to item D on our agenda, community interest.
We have National Night Out coming up. The police department will host the event again on October 4th in the park. Chamber of Commerce reverse raffle is October 15th. And Christmas is right around the corner, so Christmas in the park and the parade will be December 3rd.
It's hard to believe, as hot as it is, we're talking about Christmas.
You want to talk about?
With an ice skating rink.
Yeah.
A synthetic
A
ice skating
synthetic ice.
rink.
A synthetic ice skating rink.
Yes.
And a snow globe that you can get inside to take pictures.
Love that.
Okay. It is 6:03 and Ms. Hollingshead is now present. You got that? Okay. All right, then that takes us to item E, public forum. Other than agenda items, do we have anybody that's signed in on the public forum?
No one signed in this week.
Okay, all right. Then that takes us to item F, approval of minutes of Planning and Zoning Commission meetings on August the 15th and August the 23rd. I believe y'all have those in your packets.
I will move to approve the meetings of planning and zoning meetings on the minutes of the meetings on August 15th and August 23rd of 2022.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, then that will take us to item G1, public hearing, discussion, consideration, and action on rezoning request for 5.25 plus or minus acre tract of land located at 514 Willingham Road in the M. Guitteriez Survey Abstract A0364 Smith County, Texas, from residential estate density to residential medium density planned development Creek View. Request of Jay and Debbie Bynum. Okay, will you give us some background on this, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioners, before you tonight is a rezoning case for a proposed development Creek View subdivision. Scott Hart of Hart Land Development, on behalf of Jay and Debbie Bynum, is asking that the property be rezoned from residential estate to residential medium density planned development Creek View. The property is approximately 5.25 acres and located at 514 Willingham Road. They're requesting the change in zoning to build a small 14-lot single-family residential subdivision. Included in your packet is a comparison table that I found yet another mistake in. So it's written in The residential medium, the minimum lot depth is not 90 feet, it's 65 feet. So I changed that just like 5 minutes ago. So that's the comparison of all of the different densities. Let's see. And it's a comparison of the densities and the requirements of the current zoning, residential medium zoning, I added residential low zoning, and the requested zoning of the plan development. Also in your packet is the proposed plan development ordinance, which outlines the requests and requirements. Some of those that are included is that an HOA will be established for this addition that will plan the permanent care, replacement, maintenance of any living buffer, plants, or common areas, or commonly owned facilities, walls, fencing, entryways, features, and plants within any landscape setback, or other land use controls. The developer will install walking trails throughout the subdivision and green space on the southwest corner of the subdivision. There'll also be two 1-inch caliber trees planted in the front yard of each lot, and they will have varying front elevations. Notice was mailed and published in the newspaper, and a sign posted. Public hearing is scheduled for tonight to hear comments for or against. I have received several requests for information, which I've replied to, and I also received one phone call just requesting information. He didn't leave a name, so I'm not sure who that was. At your places, I've provided 3 for y'all to share. That top copy with the 2 paper clips has all of the email requests that I received. Representatives for the developer are here to speak and answer questions, and tonight we are seeking your recommendation that will move on to council for next week.
Okay. All right, it is now 6:07, and I will close our regular meeting and open up our public hearing portion. So if anyone would like to speak for or against this rezoning change, you may come forward, just state your name and your address, and then we'll give you the opportunity to speak.
Evening.
Eve.
Thank you all for hearing us this evening. My name is Scott Hart. I represent Heartland Development, also representing Jay and Debbie in this venture. Wanted to give some information and clarification about what their intentions are with this little subdivision. So 3 and 4 bedroom homes, starter homes between 1,600 and 1,800 square feet. They are going to have different varying elevation heights. We're going for that kind of farm cottage style where we have a brick wainscot, board and batten siding, and things like that. We are going to have, Jay and Debbie wanted to have walking trails throughout the subdivision as well. We think these homes are a great place for younger families, potentially with kids, and with having a cul-de-sac there, it'd be a good opportunity to be able to walk babies around and put strollers and things like that, as well as open up some of the backside of that property there. That power line kind of restricts anything from happening on that corner there, is making that an ability to walk around the trails as well. It planned a cul-de-sac. We did have a pre-development meeting with all the people here at the city White House, and gave us direction on fire placement and fire lanes and distance off of the curb and things like that. Any specific questions you may have about the style of home? Or,
In a public hearing, we can't do just that.
We
Gotcha.
can't do just that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Please stick around, they'll have questions later.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Shannon Capps. I live at 506 Willingham Rd. And I'd like to thank you all first for your service. I know you're volunteers, you're appointed to this committee, and I know that you expend a lot of time, of your own personal time, being here. I'd also like to thank Ms. Hargis for answering all my many questions, and her patience in answering those questions. Having been in a position similar to hers before, I know it gets wearisome when someone bugs you all the time with questions regarding things that you think, well, it's on our website. Well, some things you have difficulty finding at times, and so I appreciate her time. When I first received the notice from the city, the first thing that happened to me was my anger kicked in. I was upset about it. And I've actually talked to several of my neighbors, not all of them, just a couple of them. They also felt the same way. Some of them are not here tonight because they were a little intimidated by the setting that you're in, and we're in here too. So I'm not representing them, I'm just sharing some information that I've gathered. And I'm also going to share from my heart. I've lived in White House for 30 years. I've tried to be a good neighbor to those people who live around me, and also the people here in the city. I do think we have a great city. I'm concerned about a number of things, but first I want to tell you, I retired 3 years ago, actually no, 2.5 years ago. I looked forward to retirement because I thought I have a beautiful place. I can enjoy my quiet time, my Bible study. I can sit in my backyard, enjoy my family, my friends. I love the beauty of where I live. I like the natural environment that I live in. I don't want to trade all of that for the construction noise, the added traffic on Willingham, the trucks and the beeping alarms when they back up and dump cement. I don't want to have the anxiety of worrying about where my taxes are going to come from when I have to pay them, because I am now on a fixed income, as a number of my neighbors are. And I will go ahead and make a point to that. I did look at the mayor's flipboard today, and I really appreciate the fact that the city council was able to bring in a lower tax rate this year to help us out. But you all are not the only taxing entity that we have to answer to. So there are other situations involved there. Every year that I've gone to Smith County to talk to them about my tax raises and my tax hikes, their answer to me is usually, well, property is sold in your area. So guess what this 14-house addition is going to do to my property values? It's going to raise them. And as one of my neighbors said, well, that's a good thing. But my response is, as long as I can afford to pay the taxes, it's a good thing. So I'm still very concerned about that. The mayor also answered another of my concerns, that it will be an ongoing concern for this city for the next long while, and that is safety. When I moved to Willingham, I noticed one of the things that we had to worry about was traffic on that road. It is a busy little street. It's a county road, not a city road. There are people that come through Willingham who are cutting through there as a thoroughfare or a shortcut to get to 346 or to get to 110. And I can hear the cars revving every morning now. Used to, I'd leave the house earlier than that so I wouldn't see it. I left on purpose because I didn't want to be involved in that. Because at one point in time I was rear-ended in my own driveway, turning into my own driveway because someone was speeding over the little hill that's right before my home. And we have a lot of instances where there are speeders. We have a lot of teenagers that go up and down that road now, so that's a big concern to us. I've lived in a number of different places besides Lighthouse. I've lived in Austin, I've lived in Tidal. I've been in Rockwall and I've been in Dallas, and I've seen the growth booms that they've had, and I've also seen the poor planning that has gone on in their neighborhoods. There's been a rush to build houses and not really look at the road situations and the access situations. Willingham only has 4 accesses that I know of, maybe 5. Most of those are through small neighborhoods. And if you haven't driven those roads yet, if you haven't looked at this property, I would encourage you to do so. It's actually a beautiful piece of land. As I prayed about this and searched my heart for reasons why it upset me, I had to, as I keep saying I had to remove myself from that at one point and look at it. Try to look at it from your point of view. Try to look at it from the applicant's point of view. And I know all of that has an impact on this. One of the comments that was made in the cover letter that was sent to us was that this rezoning will only affect the subject property, and the surrounding zonings will remain the same. The zonings remain the same, yes, but it's not just going to affect that property. It's going to affect the people that live immediately adjacent to it. It's going to affect each of us that live down that road. It will affect anybody that uses that road for traffic purposes. I would encourage you to not rush to a vote on this. I would encourage you to search your own heart, pray about it, and seek what is right in this situation. I understand the motivations of the applicants, and I do understand, based on the documents that were placed on the city's website, what their motivations are and your motivations might be. What I want to do too is also tell you that I just am very concerned that while we are planning for neighborhoods, we're not planning for traffic. We're not planning for safety. I drove through the Willows the other day. I've been through there before. I've been through there a number of times now just looking. I've driven through Richland Hills, which is further down Willingham, and looked at those beautiful homes. And I'm sure these are going to be beautiful homes as well. But I have a concern about the width of the roads. If you drive through there, you'll see trucks parked on the side of the driveway. You'll see them parked on the roadside. And I'm concerned about a fire truck even getting through there. You know, and I'm grateful for the city for providing additional police officers and firefighters at this time. But if you continue the exponential growth that you're experiencing right now, that's only going to grow greater as a need, which also will increase taxes. So my bottom line is this. I would ask for greater transparency. I've just heard a comment made that you guys have actually had more time to look at this than maybe the neighbors have had to look at it. I would ask for all of the documentation to be posted in a local area on the website, on the front page of the website possibly, so that more people can access it. There were people that were even worried about calling because they did not want to cause trouble or be identified as a problem. We have, I know the emergency calling system, you bill people monthly, so maybe those would be ways for you to get this information out to other people as well. I would also urge you to look at your incoming traffic on 110, Willingham, 346, 344 even. Look at it at fast times. I'm sure some of you have experienced being caught in that before. What I'm afraid of is this additional traffic on Willingham will pose more safety issues for us. And I'm not just talking about during construction, because that's also a concern. I'm also talking about after construction. If you multiply those 14 houses times the number of people that are going to live there, 2 cars, 3 cars per family, boats on the road, on the shoulder of the road, I'm really concerned about that. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just trying to provoke some thought. I would like people to examine things a little more closely, not rush to make a decision. Several of my neighbors have told me that when they got the letter, they felt like your minds were already made up, that it was a done deal, that their voices wouldn't be heard. I kind of felt the same way too. As a matter of fact, last night, I actually had second thoughts about coming and talking to you today. But that kind of defeats the purpose of being a citizen. If you don't stand up and talk about what you feel and how you are concerned, then other people will just assume that there are no concerns. And there are in this case. I also want to leave you with this thought too. I've seen a lot of people in my career pat themselves on the back for the work they've done. I've seen their names on buildings, on parks, and on other areas that are of public nature. I used to attend Rotary meetings. I was a presenter at Rotary. I'm a little nervous tonight, can you tell? Because I haven't spoken in public in 3 years on purpose. I may have promised myself that I never would again, but I'm forcing myself to do it tonight. But when I attended those Rotary committee meetings, I was very impressed with their 3-way test. And I always have tried to remember that. Is it the truth? Is it fair for everyone concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to everybody? I looked at the city plan, the Vision 2020 plan. I read the mission statement, and the mission statement talks a lot about the heart of the community and where that money is going. I applaud that, but I also question how many of your citizens are going to benefit from it. Yes, they actually have to go to it to benefit from it. They have to make use of those facilities, of the community center, of the baseball fields, of the walking tracks. But there are many like me who have other obligations who will never be able to make use of those facilities. So I would like to know that it's benefiting everyone. 30 years from now, I'd like for you guys to look back and say, we planned well. We don't have issues of safety. We don't have problems on our streets because we did good planning and thoughtful planning. And I'm not saying you haven't, because I've watched your videos and I've also listened to some of the other things that have been online too. But I hope that you will listen to everyone and also represent the interests of everyone and not just the developers or the applicants. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Preeti D'Souza, and I live on 516 Willingham Road, and it's just, I think you have the map in front of you. I'm going to be directly behind the said property. I actually agree with every word which my neighbor has spoken right before me. I'm nervous as heck speaking as well because I'm not used to this, but I work in a clinic setting and I'm just used to my patients. We moved, my family, my husband Anil and myself, my husband and my son have gone for soccer practice, so he's not here tonight, but we moved from California a year and a half ago. We moved to White House because we have a special needs child and we wanted the good school district. We heard a lot about White House School District and, sorry, I'm really nervous. But this is the reason we moved for faith and freedom and patriotism, which we didn't get in California anymore. So we moved here we picked White House, a small little town. We lived in San Francisco Bay Area for 20 years. So we made a huge change coming to a small town. And we bought the property from Jay and Debbie Bynum. And it's 10 acres and we have a home and it's beautiful. And we moved with the intention of this being our forever home where we could raise our kids. We have 4 and we have 3 with us, 1 is in college. And we were so disappointed when we heard this is gonna happen right in our neighborhood, right in front of our property. We're gonna be in clear vision of this 14-home site. And right now everything is calm. We hear the birds, we hear everything, and it's so peaceful and quiet. And we wanted that, and this is why we moved our family cross-country to Texas, to White House. And we were hoping to just retain that. And we know there's always development, but it's just hitting us hard because it's right in front of our property. It's just so close to home. And the noise, the traffic. In fact, this driveway, our driveway is right, this gravel driveway is our driveway leading down. And this area is where our home is right now. So we are in clear, direct vision of this property is ours. So that hits us hard because this is not what we expected when we came. If we had any idea that we were gonna be right behind a new subdivision, we would not have bought this property. For any reason, we would not have bought it. We paid a good premium price to purchase the property. We would not have, and we had no idea. In fact, we offered to purchase this land through their son-in-law. We offered a few times, but we were always told that they were going to build their home on that property, a single-family home, and that was okay with us. That's their property, and for them to build a single-family home would have been the best thing in our eyes. But we don't know their situation. I don't want to speculate what they're going through and the reason for this development, but it's just going to affect us I think, in ways we can't even imagine. But the traffic, the noise, the building, and not what we asked for, it's not what we expected, and right now we're just thrown in the midst of this, and so, I really urge you to please consider, and what's the best for everybody in that neighborhood. Just to, you know, not for the sake of, and two of my kids are at Kane Elementary, and within the past 6 months, they've had 4 or 5 kids in their classroom. Their classrooms are exploding. Kane Elementary does not have the infrastructure for most students. And I know everybody wants White House School District for what it is, but we have to maybe think about another school coming up if you're gonna have more families coming into the neighborhood. And so all that goes hand in hand with getting new subdivisions and new homes. You know, it's just not just adding 14 families to the neighborhood, it's the additional traffic, the number of cars on the road, the number of kids in schools and everything, all that adds up. So it's, I mean, we placed our trust in God when we moved from California and we came here. In fact, He picked White House for us. I would say we didn't pick White House. He put it in our heart, and this is where we landed. And we trust God that the right decision will be made over here, and in the end, it's His victory and it's His glory and His honor, and we are just instruments here. So I just urge y'all to just think about it, consider everyone in that neighborhood and how it's going to impact all of us.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Asbi Arana. I just moved from California about a year ago. I'm happy. You guys got a small, beautiful town. I told my wife, I'm gonna,
Can you tell me where you live?
510 Willingham Rd.
Thank you.
So I told my wife, I'm gonna call the president and tell him, don't let people go from California come over here. It's 40 million up there. I deal with 40 million for 40 years. I work for the company Dean Foods. That was a blessing. I come over here visiting my cousin, and I told my wife, it's a good place to retire. I went to Colorado Springs, I went to San Francisco, I went to Santa Barbara, different places. I love California, but I love this little town. And I told my wife, hey, let's go check it out, this White House. We came, we love it. I just come from my son from vacation, and then on the way back home, he says, you know what, old man? Seeing as I hit California, I get my luggage and come back. I wanna come this way. So he came over here, and then he says, when do you retire? I said, when I complete 68. So I complete 68 last year. So I told my son, you know what, I'm retired, I'll follow you. So we came and buy over here, I love it. My concern is, in front of me, I live right in the front. If they wanna put a wall or a fence or something, because I make a lot of noise in the morning. I like to rake and clean and everything. So my wife, she says, you know what? You work 40 years over there, you never have a time for the house. We agree with that. Now you have a plenty time, you retire, so you hit him. So I buy this little house. I put already 60,000 in there. I was thinking to put another 60,000 and then remodel the whole thing. But after I heard this, my emotions went down. I said, well, I have to wait. I don't want to put no more money. I was going to knock out the whole house and build up a new one. And I told my wife, you know what? Let's go wait. See what's going to happen. Maybe we get more value when the new houses they get in. Oh, I said, because I don't want people, they say, oh, these Mexicans come over here and make a lot of noise or whatever. I said, I don't want to get in trouble. So my concern is if they want to put a wall in front of that properties. Because I live in the right side, and the property is going to be built in the left side. That's it. You know, I'm happy with your little town. I'm very happy.
Okay.
So that's my concern.
Okay.
And thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you.
I'm retired. I'll be 70 in 2 years, so I have no place to go.
Anybody else? Okay, then it is now 6:30 and I will close the public hearing portion and reopen our regular meeting. All right. Questions? Concerns?
I'm just curious what the plan is for the walls, like this blue that we're looking at here, is there gonna be, somebody explain to me, is the drive where the gate to come into the community gonna be up here?
You want me to come and
It's
explain that?
down.
So it's
Yeah,
flipped
it's fine.
on this
Yeah,
one?
that little corner of the lot's gonna be
The
unused.
drive, the drive is on the very south end of the property next to the lady that spoke. I think that's next to her drive.
Yes.
if
Yeah,
I'm not
so it's
mistaken.
gonna be down here. It's gonna be down,
And I'll show you that.
Yeah, it's
I don't think you can see up here the privacy fences where they're going, but essentially,
You can turn that.
on that north, oh. okay. So, I think, well.
They didn't see it.
Okay,
Wait,
so,
this one up here.
the privacy fence is gonna be, obviously, in the backyard here, we're gonna do some landscaping on the Willingham side, and then a privacy fence all along this side of the property, as well as the southern boundary of the property, and then each one of these homes will have a rear privacy fence, obviously with privacy fence in between each of them.
To the adjacent properties, how high is that privacy fence? Is it a 6 foot or 8 foot?
Proposed is 6 foot.
Would you please show, guys, what north and south is and where that cul-de-sac sits?
Yes, ma'am. So this fire turnaround here, this is the end of the cul-de-sac, and the property line, we build a privacy fence on their.
That's your side.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. So it's north of, yes, north, yeah. So south of that drive is where that privacy fence would go.
So it'll be right on the hillside.
Yes, yes.
okay.
Is there any protection for the creek?
Yes, we'll have to put in
Hang-
a SWIP plan, or.
Hang
I
on.
apologize.
Can I ask that question?
Hey, our public hearing is closed at this point in time, so, and I can't have you ask direct questions of him, so. Yeah, we'll have questions for,
Yes,
I'm sure we'll have additional questions for you, most definitely. Does that make sense, your question?
So is it turned
Willingham
this-
is here, Willingham is here, so they'll come in on this area, the street will run,
No, you got it backwards. Willingham is here.
Willingham, or there,
You got it turned for you, turn it front.
there you go,
So Willingham here going up
Here.
to 110.
yeah, so they'll turn in off
Is
of here, right. So they'll turn in on the south end of the property here, this will come up and then the cul-de-sac will be back here.
What's this little portion right here?
That area.
It's,
Nothing.
no,
It's probably swamp.
yeah, we're talking about that little
Yeah.
section up
The
there.
little
at very-
panhandle, is that like a swamp area or what?
it's to the north of the drive that comes down through there, so that piece would not be part of this plan.
Of that plan,
Yes.
right.
Yes, sir.
Right, so you're just going,
So
you're
it is
just gonna
where that
take that
dotted
going
line is.
straight across.
Yeah.
Essentially, okay.
Yes, sir.
Right, and that's the. Piece of. Where's that creek run? Right here.
There's power lines down through there too.
Yeah, where exactly are those power lines again? Are they up on that front corner? On this, what would be the,
Yes, sir, those power lines sit right in here.
that's what I thought,
So actually, that Encore gate is right in here to follow that.
to follow that right back and it follows right back down through there.
Yes, sir.
So it kind of follows the creek running back
Pretty generously, especially in this area where that creek kind of turns.
where it turns and comes back
Yes, sir.
down. Right, so in other words, you can't develop in that area anyway because of the highline wires, because of the
Correct,
easement.
and there's
for
usable
Encore.
property on the other side, however, there's some riding trails and things already established there, so all those are gonna be off limits.
Okay,
and the trails that the Bynums have asked you, that's around on the backside of these streets, or where will that be?
So they want to put a walking trail in here, and then they're asking for some type of access to this piece here, because it is type of like kind of a riding
Back.
trail on the backside.
Like an access from the main road there?
From the main road here, yes, we have to work that into the plan. We'd probably shift and take these sidewalks out so that you can make, like, if you're coming in or riding a bike or pushing in, you can come around the sidewalk and make the access in. Sorry, that's your screen.
Sidewalks won't be removed, they'll be there, they'll just be pushed out further, because sidewalks are required.
Yes, we have to have sidewalks.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
right there.
just making sure.
And the width of the road, and we made the width of the road and the cul-de-sac and everything per the fire marshal's comments and things like that. As well as the setback off the city street, so they could have cars off the street instead of parking along.
So you made that comment about cars off the street and things like that. Will that be something that not getting too much into logistics, but is that something that will be managed by the HOA? Is ensuring that overnight parking, that there's nothing on the streets and things along
Yeah,
those
so
lines?
along with like the general maintenance and the lawn care and all those restrictions and stipulations, the types of housing, aesthetics and all that, that'll be part of that HOA is we're allotting in that front drive, again, the fire marshal's pretty adamant about making sure we keep cars off that street. So we were adding enough space out there to have a 2-car garage and then 2 more spots inside the driveway to allow it to 4 cars kind of parked at the house. To keep the normal traffic off the street.
Which the depth of your lots, which you've got, minimum lot depth is 124 foot. That allows you then to push back.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes, the length of the lots allows us to get it up off the street and get that driveway.
And
depth.
get that driveway depth.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
But their front setback that they're requesting remains at 25 feet.
25.
Yeah, 25
Just-
feet.
As a point of clarification,
Just because the depth of their lot, they're only asking for 25 feet on that front.
Front end.
Okay. Which 2 cars and, 2-car garage. 2-car garage and 2 cars. So 25, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I had to do a little math in my head. Okay. And just so that you understand, my greatest concern is with this being, zoned, what are we currently
Estate,
zoned?
residential estate.
Yeah, residential estate is, and going to residential medium, that's a big jump.
It's a big leap.
I mean, that's a big leap. And I know, your side setbacks, you're asking with the plan development on your side setbacks only being 5 foot. I know you're trying to maximize your lots and you're trying to maximize your what you can build on the width of that particular lot.
Well, and if we could pull the zoning map up, and this, we kind of ran through a little bit of this in the pre-development as we were kind of looking, of course, we were trying to mimic a lot like this subdivision with some improvements again off the street. And with it kind of being a hodgepodge of zoning, particularly in that area, we think we might be able to modify that to a low density with the adjustment of the floor plans and get a wider side yard. In fact, we've had several meetings with kind of our architect about, hey, how can we make that a little bit bigger? Because again, getting lawnmowers through and AC units and all that kind of stuff, and creating a little bit better width there. I think that's definitely open to talk about and try to adjust that to get more in line with that low density zoning.
Yeah, because what that would push you is on your minimum lot width, you're asking for 60 foot on your width. I mean, that adds another, that would be 75 foot, so that's another 15 foot per lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is what that's gonna do.
And I think the medium density, we lean more towards that again for that 60-foot width, and then we were kind of looking at the property across the street, how it's zoned. That zoning is kind of a little different of how it goes from the development on 110 and then back
Correct,
to.
it feeds
Feeds
from
into
one
that.
ten, and there's not really access
Yeah,
per
Yes,
se
sir.
coming and dumping out that high density, portion that's there. It's not dumping out onto, to Willingham. It's dumping everything out on 110, which again, you know, you've got 5 lanes of width out there, and it's not near as, you know, you're not dumping that high density out onto a 2-lane road. And I know it backs up to it, but again, you don't have access necessarily coming out onto Willingham.
I'd assumed that the houses directly across the street, some of those, because I think there's a couple of dwellings on one property might be within that zone.
There are houses there within that zoning, but they're not,
They don't
they're
meet
not,
that
they don't
zone.
meet the high density.
They don't,
Right.
So,
correct.
yeah, that was just
They
done.
They were
were,
rezoned after the fact, they were there.
yeah, they were
But I
rezoned
think,
after the
yeah, and
fact.
the property, I think immediately to the north, it's an RE, but I think it's only a half acre or so. But
Yeah.
trying to find a zoning that best married up to.
Personally, I don't like going to a higher density whenever everything around it is the residential estate. I mean, there's enough residential low around there to justify it, but not going to a PD, I don't think.
And like I said, I think with some adjustments of the floor plans and maybe killing a lot on each side and expanding out, I think it could be more aligned with the low density.
With the low density.
Yes, sir.
What would that do to your lot numbers, and then what would that do to your square footage of the houses?
We would drop down to 12 lots instead of 14, because we've actually programmed it out that way to take a look at what.
So you've
that
already made
looks
some,
like. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what we'd probably do in that instance is beef up the house a little bit, make it a little bit bigger, maybe have an extra office or an extra spare bathroom or something like that.
Yeah, going to a medium density or a planned development is kind of a leap, in my opinion.
And we had talked about that at pre-development, is if, do we just stay with low, do we try medium? I was hoping at maybe this type of form we could find that happy with, do we just stick with low and just go forward with that and be done with it? Or, you know, is there some type of planned development approach that could be done?
You
I
can't
think-
stick with low because it's residential estate.
It's
I mean,
residential estate.
we're asked to get to low.
Right, instead of going from estate to
Yes, sir.
to residential medium plan development, just going to residential low
Yes, sir.
and, yeah.
So,
All right. Do y'all have additional
Those were my.
questions?
In a residential low, scenario, would you be able to meet all the setbacks, side and everything?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
he's going to have to give up a couple of lots to do that.
In our previous program that we went through, we were there, and I think the buyers were just trying to maximize as much of that property as they could,
Sure.
for retirement.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry. You can table this and ask them to come back with a new plan. You can make your recommendation as you wish. There's a couple of
I
options.
move to recommend denying the request for, residential medium density plan development for Creekview.
Okay, so I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay,
And
all right.
to deny the request.
For medium density
Okay.
plan development.
Okay. Can I have a roll call vote on that, please?
Randy Humphrey?
Nay.
Against. Okay. Amanda Kelly? For. Tony Harris?
For.
Cassie Hollinshead?
I'm for.
Dana Turner?
For.
Chad Cleckler?
4.
motion to deny is approved.
Okay.
Okay, so this, correct me if I'm wrong, this would not move on to city council without an appeal.
Correct. Yes.
Yes.
Will we
Just reason.
reapply for low density just as
You
it
can do
is,
that,
showing to
yes.
meet the requirements
You can do
versus
that.
an appeal, or
Yes.
whichever is easier for the council?
That's
Well,
up to you.
if you
That's what
appeal,
I was
it will
debating.
move on to council with your appeal.
I was
If you do not appeal,
teetering
and you just want to reapply for
So I'm
a
with
different
you.
zoning, that starts the process over.
Okay.
Can,
Susan, on an appeal, correct me if I'm wrong, it may require a supermajority
well,
of the
no,
city
we
council
discussed
to overturn a planning and zoning recommendation.
Well, and I would prefer that this committee here is in agreement about doing something versus trying, you know what?
Yes. Okay,
I would much rather like all excited.
okay, okay. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
okay, thank you. Okay.
So for those in the audience, this will not move on to city council next week. There will not be another public hearing next week. Okay.
Will we be notified again?
If they come back with another request for a change of zoning, yes, the process starts completely over and all the notices will go back out.
Okay,
Thank you all so much for your time, I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
okay, so that takes us to, item H, our August reports.
It was in the packet?
Yep.
Yes, I wasn't sure that Ms. Black was gonna be here tonight, so I didn't know if we were gonna have that, so I told you I can't get you anything pretty printed.
Right.
I have this is like the back to get to the, it's so weird.
I just do a screenshot and print it,
There it is.
but I didn't do it this time.
Wow, total permits, crazy.
Susan's been a little busy. We had one, developer that brought in 36 in one day.
Yeah.
So, that kind of
Let me
skews
guess.
the
He
numbers.
brought his 36 and then the plumber brought his 36.
Yeah.
Pretty much at the same time.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, so especially on permits, I mean, you see those numbers kind of just go up and
Right.
down, and that's why. Especially on certain developments where they're all the same, they bring them all at once.
They bring them all at once. Yes,
It makes Susan scream in her office.
yeah. Okay.
But all that to say, growth continues to be strong,
Mhm.
very, very busy. Yeah.
Somebody's a little busy over there
Yeah.
Mr. Watson's very busy with his
Yes.
inspections.
with his inspections.
How many inspections?
He was looking at all the spaghetti lines.
How many
I did all-
inspections a day are you having to do?
Inspections a day. I'm sitting there looking at the chart, that's what I was running the numbers on, so that's.
Other than
I know I did
March.
8 yesterday. So,
Wow.
Wow.
and it's kind of like the lines, it varies, sometimes I'll have almost more than I can do, and on some days I'll look out, on Friday I might get one.
Right.
Rain definitely is, Randy knows, rain plays a critical.
Yeah.
You hadn't had much rain lately.
Right. It's been a little busy. That's right.
So do they have to get a permit for the citywide garage sales when they're having a garage sale?
If they sign up through Keep White House Beautiful, we waive the requirement to get a city permit.
So we're not gonna have like a giant orange chart next to
Oh, no, because the organization gets one permit that covers everybody.
That covers the
Get us a
citywide.
list, we put it in.
But it does count against your 3 per year that you can have.
Right. Okay.
That's 3 more than I wanna have.
Exactly.
Every time I have one, I figure out how much I make per hour, and I'm like, I don't work that cheap
Yeah,
for
just-
anybody.
numbers just don't work.
I gotta start
Yeah.
hiding stuff from my wife. She'll sell my stuff.
Right. Okay. Anybody got any questions about the reports? All right, then that takes us to item I.
I move we adjourn.
All right. I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned.
Not gonna vote?